Welcome back to another video, and today I am multitasking because I've got a lot to do. I still have to organise things in this house because I don't know about you, but when I first move in, I'm like stuff things in just to kind of get in the property and then we'll organise later, and then I never seem to organise. But today I'm organising and I thought I've got to record a video as well. So I thought I'm going to do two things at once today. So I'm going to record and organise all at the same time. So if you don't know me, my name is Rachel. I'm a solo mum twin, and on this channel I talk everything mum life, budgeting and all those fun things. So if you like that kind of thing, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But in today's video, I want to talk about my emergency fund, which no longer exists because I had to use most of it, literally 95% of it, to move house, pay deposits, pay a month's rent up front. Then I had to pay bills from my previous house. I had to move them over here, but there were some outstanding payments I needed to pay. So like my water bill, I had to pay the water bill for that property before I could move it over to this one. If you've moved house before, you know it takes a little bit of time, doesn't it? And also I was in contract with some of the bills, so I had to pay like a cancellation fee just for a couple of them because I moved house. Not much, but just a little bit. So a lot of my emergency fund took a massive hit. And then another unexpected bill came up, which I couldn't afford because I no longer have an emergency fund. So I had to lend money, which I absolutely hated and cried for hours over that I had to do it because I'm an independent woman and I should be able to do it myself. But I ended up lending a little bit of money, which I have to pay back as well. Now, I hate being in debt. I hate being in debt. I haven't been in debt for many, many years. I paid off nearly £20,000 worth of debt and I've not been in debt since. And the fact that I owe someone some money feels uncomfortable for me. So my first thing now is to try and pay off that debt. It's only a few £100, but it's still a debt that's over my head. So I want to talk about all of this and how I'm going to rebuild my emergency fund within the next 3 to 6 months. So if you have not got an emergency fund or your emergency fund took a hit, then hopefully this video is going to help you, and hopefully it will help me when I feel like I'm completely failing, which I've been feeling a lot lately, that I completely fail in life at the age of 42. I should have my stuff together, which no one has. No one has. You could be in your 50s and 60s and you still feel like you've messed it all up. So anyway, let's get into the video. So like I said, my emergency fund went on paying remaining bills, a deposit for this property that I'm in now, paying for a month's rent up front as well. My emergency fund went on all of that, and I still have a small amount, but it is very, very small. But I'm using that as a good thing that I'm not starting from zero. I have something in there, so I'm starting with a step. So that's how I'm looking at it. But yes, a lot of my emergency fund disappeared. But the thing is, that's what an emergency fund is for. That's what it's for, is to build that up. So when things like this happen in life, something unexpected, something that you didn't plan for the year, comes up, then you've got that emergency fund to be able to make it a little bit softer for you, which is why I'm not beating myself up too much about it. Now, like I said a few minutes ago, I feel like I have failed, completely and utterly failed. And I know that that's just a mindset thing, and I just need to reframe it, and I need to rewire that part of my brain that I haven't failed, that something happened, it was a learning experience, and you just got to move on from it. But you haven't failed at all, and probably anyone that's been in a situation similar probably feels the same way. So it's just a feeling, doesn't make it reality. So that's what I keep saying. I may feel like a failure, doesn't mean that I am a failure. So sometimes my son will come to me and go, Mum, I'm a really bad person. I go, do you feel like a bad person, or are you a bad person? And he goes, well, I don't think I'm a bad person. I goes, yeah, so take away the anxiety of it to the fact of it. So the fact is, you're not a bad person, you just feel it, you know, and those feelings pass once we sit with it and we digest it and we realize that it's just a feeling. So that's what I say to my son. So I thought I kind of got to take that own advice for myself. I'm not a failure. I may feel like a failure, doesn't mean that I've actually failed in life. Now, using my emergency fund, yes, I felt disappointed, and yes, I didn't like using it because like it took me months and nearly a year to save up my emergency fund. I paid off all my debt. I then saved my emergency fund. Then I was starting on my sinking funds. And then I was able to buy things that I actually wanted to buy. And I got to that point where like I wasn't financially free. No way was I financially free. But I had a little bit of extra just to kind of maybe go on a day trip with my son. But now that's been pushed back again, but that's okay. I have to realise that life happens, things happen, and again, this is why I built an emergency fund, to make it a little bit softer. Because imagine if I didn't have that emergency fund, all of this would have gone on a credit card, which then would have gained interest, which have got me into more and more debt. And it wasn't worth that. So even though I no longer have an emergency fund right now, one, I know I can build it because I've already built one before. And two, actually, it does put me in a better situation now than it would have if I didn't have one. So if you're yet to start an emergency fund, I recommend maybe we start looking at how we can start building one. Even if you're building it very slowly, it takes you a long time to build one. But even just having a few extra £100 in the bank, if your washing machine goes, or you need a new oven, or something goes wrong with your car, you've got some money to put towards it, so it's not such a big hit on you. So let me know in the comments if you have an emergency fund, if you haven't got one, or whether you want to start having an emergency fund just in case something happens in life that you need to pay for. Let me know in the comment box below. My emergency fund, I am aiming to rebuild it within 3 to 6 months. And it's going to be quite a lot of work. So an emergency fund should be between 3 and 6 months of all expenses that you have. So your rent or mortgage, your utility bills, like extracurricular activities for the kids, anything that you pay on a monthly basis, then you should have 3 to 6 months worth in the bank as an emergency fund, so that you know that you are safe. And the reason that is because if you were to lose your job tomorrow, you know that you've got 6 months to be able to pay your bills before you run out of funds and you need to start to panic, really. So that also gives you 6 months to go and find another job, start a new business, build it up within 6 months, or whatever it is that you decide to want to do. So I had 5 months. I had 5 months of my emergency fund built up. I needed 1 more month, and now I don't even have a month's emergency fund in there. So I feel like I'm starting from scratch, but I do have something in the bank just to help me move forward and give me a bit of a heads up. So one thing you need to be sure of is that I'm not trying to do this overnight. I'm not trying to make thousands of pounds and do 6 months of my emergency fund in the next 2 or 3 days. It's going to take time. Now I want 3 to 6 months. So 3 months is my minimum that I want to save for, and 6 months is the maximum I want to save for within that time frame. But I might not get 6 months, and that's okay with me. But my minimum is to try and get 3 months. Now I'm not going to tell you what that is because that's delving into my personal finances, and I don't really want to share that. And everybody's finances and their outgoings and incomes are all different. So you just need to do what you have coming in on average if you're self-employed, or as a salary, what you have coming in every single month. So then you can work out how much emergency funds you need to have. And if that feels like a massive mountain, just start off with like 1 month emergency fund and then build it from there. I'm also realizing that it's not going to be perfect, and some weeks or some months I'm going to be able to put quite a lot of money away, and then other weeks and other months I'm not going to be able to put much away, especially with the summer holidays coming up. Now I can't afford a holiday this year with my son, which again makes me feel like I failed. So I'm going to take him out on a few day trips, and I am doing a video soon, I think beginning of next month, about ways I'm going to be enjoying the summer holidays with my son without spending a lot of money and without going on holiday. So if you want some tips on what you can do with your kids through the summer that's not going to cost you a fortune, then don't forget to subscribe because that's coming out early next month. Also, the final thing I'm going to do when I'm setting my plan and rebuilding my emergency fund is I'm going to make it realistic. Like, I've still got to do things with my kid. My kid is obviously going up to the next year group in school. So I need to buy school uniform because he's outgrowing his new school shoes. And also the school ask for panto trip money now rather than at Christmas time so they can book all the tickets. So that's coming up as well. So there's a lot of more outgoings that I still need to pay. So rather than say to my son that he can't go, I'm going to work my emergency fund and saving my emergency fund around us just having a realistic life, not where we are stuck inside all the time, can't do anything, can't go anywhere, and can't spend any money, I'm going to make it a little bit more realistic. So that's how I'm going to approach rebuilding my emergency fund. Make it realistic. No, it's not going to be perfect. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen as long as I'm consistent with it. Let's talk about my plan. Everybody's plan is going to be different, but let's talk about mine, and hopefully, you know, you might get some ideas that will work for you. The whole thing might work for you, or you might just get a few little ideas that will help you along your way. So my first step to rebuilding my emergency fund is actually to not rebuild it, is to pay my person back that's lent me some money. That's my first step. My first step is to make sure that I'm paying that person back. So that is my first goal. Now, what I'm going to do with this, I'm actually going to have 2 separate little pots in my bank. So the first pot is going to be paying this person back. Step 2, now I am self-employed, so my money that comes in every month isn't the exact amount every single month. So what I'm going to do is look at my income over the last 3 to 4 months, see how much I've got coming in, then average that out so I know how much money is coming in. What I'm also going to do is going to go through my bank statements and see what things are going out. Are there any subscriptions that I don't use anymore? Do I have anything there that I forgot that I've been paying for that I don't need to pay for anymore? So I'm going to go through my outgoings as well, all my direct debits and standing orders, and see whether or not I can actually remove some of those or go down a plan or something like that to save a little bit of money. I will also go through everything else on my outgoings to see where maybe I've been impulse buying a little bit too much, where I can actually cut back. One of the big things is groceries. I'm going to do the Too Good To Go app, the Olio app, and my mum is over 60, so in Iceland on a Tuesday they get 10% off, because over 60s get 10% off. So we're going to go shopping on a Tuesday and get some Iceland bits. She'll probably want to go shopping too. So we're going to do that. One Tuesday, we're going to go to Iceland and I'm going to get 10% discount off of my mum. I will do another video on groceries. I've done a few already, but if you'd like me to do another one, let me know in the comment box below and I'll get another one done for you. But I'm going to look through my bank statements over the last 3 to 6 months and see where I may have impulse buy, emotionally bought, or bought out of guilt for my son, and what things actually need to stop and cut back and what I need to focus on there. So that's the next step. Well, step 1 is pay off my debt, and then step 2 is review my budget, what I've averagely got coming in and what I've got going out, and make cutbacks from there. My next step is to make some extra income. So I do sell items on Vinted, but they're my own items that I've got that my son doesn't want anymore, outgrown, or I've got clothing items that I wore 5-6 years ago that now at 40, nearly 43, I feel like I don't really want to wear that anymore. Like, I feel a bit old to wear that now. So I'm going to be selling that. However, my Vinted sales are going towards my Christmas fund. So once I've hit my Christmas target, if I've got any money left over, that will then go into my emergency fund. It was going to go for next Christmas and get that one started and get a head start, but my emergency fund just feels a little bit more important right now. So any sales that I get from Vinted after I've hit my Christmas goal, I will then start putting into my emergency fund. If I do any top cashback things, so I buy stuff online and I usually do it through top cashback. So if I get any money from there, I'm going to take that out and I'm going to put that into my emergency fund as well. If I do any surveys, I haven't done surveys for a really long time. I find them really, really boring, but some of them do pay quite well. So I'm going to look at doing some more surveys. If you've got any recommendations of the best surveys to do that actually pay out some good money, then let me know in the comments and I'll go and check them out. But anything I get from that, if I do surveys, I'm going to put that into my emergency fund as well. And if I'm given any money for anything extra, or I say, you know, sometimes you might luckily find £1 on the street, that all going to go into my emergency fund. And yes, that might sound a little bit, oh Rach, come on. But my emergency fund is important to me. So if I find a little bit of extra cash anywhere or a little bit of extra money anywhere, then all of that is going to go into my emergency fund over the next few weeks. Another way that I could do it is that if I get any £2 coins, I will save them up. A lot of people do that for Christmas, but I could also do £2 coins for Christmas, and then I could do £1 coins or even 20p's for my emergency fund. And even if I only get like £15-20 or 20p's in the next 3 to 6 months, it all helps, it all works and goes towards my emergency fund. So those are little tiny things that I'm going to be doing, trying to find money wherever I can, doing little side things here and there, like vintage, surveys, cashback, and putting all that money into my emergency fund. Because what I will do, once I've budgeted, I'll see what I've got left over. Anything that I've got left, I probably split into two, and part of it I would put to one side so I can take my son somewhere and we can do little bits and pieces together over the summer holidays, and the other part I'll put into the emergency fund. Now once the summer's over, I'll probably use all of it and put it straight into my emergency fund until I'm back to where I want to be. And the last step that I will do is I will track my progress. I will open a new spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets, and I will track what I'm doing, how much I've got in there, and how much I've been putting in every single month, and whether or not I can beat it even by £1 every single month. And so I will probably do that. I'll see how much I can save by the end of June, and by the end of July I need to save a little bit more. Even if it's only £1, I need to save more. It's might sound stupid to some people, but actually works for me. And if it's going to work for me and help me save, then I'm going to do it, because I need to save that emergency fund. So that is my plan of how I'm going to rebuild my emergency fund. Now, what I've learned, this is the first time that I've actually had to dip into my emergency fund. Everything else that is kind of I've had to pay for, I've fortunately had the money to do it. So I've been very fortunate so far. So this is the first time that I've actually had to get my emergency fund out and use it. But what I've learned the most is that without an emergency fund, I would have been in a much worse situation, and I feel that I would have been spiraling into debt very, very quickly. And it was someone that was nearly £20,000 in debt a few years back and managed to claw my way out of that. And now I have been debt free for years. I didn't want to go back into debt at all. I've only just started using my credit card again, and I pay the bill off at the end of every month. And the only reason I'm doing that is to increase my credit score. And the things that I put on my credit card is basically day trips with my son, and then that month I pay it off. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep handing over my credit card to get into debt. So having an emergency fund does not make you financially free by any means, but it definitely helps take a lot of the pressure off when things like moving house, car breakdown, or washing machine breaks down, or something happens to a family member and they need money fast and you're willing to help them. You've got the money to be able to do that. So I'm very thankful to myself that I did save an emergency fund and I had that ready for a situation like this. Now, the only worry you now have with using your emergency fund is that you now don't have one, and you hope to God that nothing happens and nothing goes wrong, touch wood, so that you don't have to use your credit card. So that's why for me, it's really important to try and build something over the next 3 to 6 months. Even if I've only got 3 months worth of an emergency fund, but I've got something there ready just in case life decides to come kick you on the backside, because it likes to do that now and again. So that's where I am right now. My emergency fund has took a hit, but I'm grateful that I had one to be able for it to take a hit. This is now a fresh start, and only because I don't have an emergency fund doesn't actually mean I failed. It actually means the opposite, that I actually succeeded because I had an emergency fund to be able to get myself out of this situation. So over the next 6 months, I am going to be saving for my emergency fund. I will do a video every couple of months and let you know how I'm going, let you know how my progress goes and what I've done to be able to replenish it. And again, I'll be adding a lot more details over on my Facebook group, Solo Mum to One. I'll link it in the description box below. I know some of you are on Facebook. At the moment, I'm not on Instagram or TikTok. I've been off it for a couple of months now. I just go on Facebook. I find it a much slower pace. Maybe I'm just getting old. The old people go on Facebook. I'm a Facebook girl. So I am going to be sharing my progress and everything over on there. So if you are a Facebook person, then do go and join the group over there. I'd love to have you over there as well as on here too. So if you don't have an emergency fund and you are wanting to save for an emergency fund, remember, it doesn't need to be perfect. It can fit around your family life, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. But the fact that you are going to make any kind of progress and you're going to start is actually going to be a massive step forward. So let me know in the comment box below whether or not you have an emergency fund, whether you just cannot save for one at all, or whether it's something that you haven't got but you really want to start saving and you want some more tips and tricks on how to be able to do that. And I'll make some videos on that for you as well. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I want to say quickly thank you for everybody that's commented on my previous videos and been really kind. And the most comment I've had on there is how much happier I look. And as I said, I'm still dealing with my mental health, but I do feel more relaxed and more calm than I did. I'm pretty much just dealing with the aftermath. Sometimes it's not until you come out of something that you realise how much it affected you, because you're in fight or flight mode and you just want to get it done, and you're just like a steam train, just like, I've got to get to where I've got to get. But like once you actually sit back and you realise all the trauma and the heartache and the pain and the fear all comes out of you. So I'm still dealing with my mental health, but I am happier, and I really appreciate everybody telling me how much happier I look. So I really am grateful for each and every one of you and each and every one of your support, your kind comments, your love for me. It fills me with joy and it fills me with love, and I appreciate you and thank you so much. If you liked today's video, don't forget to hit that like button. Also share it with a friend if you think they'll enjoy it too. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos from me. And I hope whenever you're watching this, you're having a good morning, good day, or good evening. I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.